Oklahoma Sports Network.
Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the Oklahoma Sports Network's consent is prohibited. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be used without express written consent.
Well, a pleasant good evening live from Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. We are at 104 Southwest 2nd Street, and of the 13 schools on the Oklahoma Sports Network, we had 8 enter into week 1 of the playoffs. Unfortunately, a couple of OSN teams had to play OSN teams. That happens again this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. But 2 of them had to, unfortunately, close out their season. So there's 6 remaining, and one of them being the Macarthur Highlanders, and that's why we are continuing here at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. We've got a packed house. We'd like for you to come and join us for this coaches show. And for those who are watching and can't make it today, come anytime for the great food, great barbecue. I noticed that they finally got the brisket burger we've been talking about. I've been anxious. You know how I wore out this menu. I've gotten everything except for that, and then I've jokingly told them I didn't really get your salads. Nothing against salads, but I'm not.
Yes.
You can kind of see I resemble not being a salad guy. Nonetheless, I do have them, but it's usually with something. We have Michelle here from Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. She has been our hostess the entire time. Great way to talk to our local schools, great programs. Special to have Macarthur continue on after their playoff win last week. Very impressive against Noble, and now they've got a big chore up against Del City. But before we get into all of that, let's unpack a little bit about what you've got going on. You've got a full slate, too. You got a busy – I thought Halloween was busy. You got stuff coming up for Thanksgiving and the holidays after that.
Yes, exactly. So we're trying to do a lot of fundraising. So we have our cans for queso. So if you bring in any canned goods, you get a coupon for free chips and queso. So we're kind of promoting that right now. That'll be through Thanksgiving. Then after that, around Christmas time here, we want to do something for the Animal Humane Society. And so we're going to be partnering with them, finding out what they need. And then, again, we'll kind of do a similar type of fundraiser where if you buy something for the Animal Humane Society and donate it, then you will get like an appetizer shareable for free.
Food recommendations. I know we've talked about my favorite, your personal favorite, but let me ask, what is the people's favorite that people have been really kind of hedging to, that you can kind of get a little base of, boy, this is really popular?
Our most popular item is our 2-meat plate. So,
okay.
And
can't beat that.
You can't beat it, and it's a wide variety, but brisket's probably number 1, with pork being number 2 seller. And
not my jalapeno, that's my go-to.
Yep.
It's just the link, and then they even have them in cut form or full length. I know Coach Pushki said, man, look what they do with the okra, because the okra isn't cut up in little pieces. It's full-length fried okra. That's a nice, unique. I was disappointed last week because you ran out of potato salad, so I made my order, and it was gone. I'm going to have to make a special order before the crew comes in here, because that's how that happens. But we're enjoying it. But, yeah, I mean, we appreciate that, and a little insight. We're on 2nd Street. You can't miss us in that downtown area, very close to where the Vista and the mall is, so you can find us there. It's an old converted gas station. There is a brewery, which I did get a tour from. Thank you so much for showing me. Educated me. She is the brewmeister. She handles all of that, and she's got all the flavors going, and it's a unique experience, and the only one in Lawton as far as a brewery is concerned. So not just that, it's plenty of food, from the stuff that's in-house and the barbecue and so much more. So make it Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. So on tap, we've got coach, we've got players, we got Macarthur to talk about, and we'll do that right after this timeout. We'll be back right after this on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Arvest Bank. We believe home ownership makes families and communities stronger. Whether it's your first home, a fixer-upper, or your forever home, we're here to help put home ownership within reach. Because everyone deserves a financial partner who cares. Arvest Bank. We believe.
All right, we're back here at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. It is the Coaches Show. It's been something that we started back in August, believe it or not, in 0 week. And, boy, now I'm starting to say that seems a long time ago. Before you say everything is quick, but August 29th, that seemed a little ways off, when you start talking about holidays and all the rest of that stuff. So, Coach, congratulations. A great win, very impressive win. You started off outside of the the penalty drive in the first. You got your stuff together. It's a 50-0 game at the half. You got to be pleased with that. One question I was going to ask, when is the last time Macarthur has won the first round to go to the second round?
21.
21. So when we were last time we were district champions. So last time we were district champions, you went on to the second round. So I know we had some of those that we even hosted one, and there was a matchup that we got in 5A on the east side that was a 4 that beat a 1 with Coweta, and they had that game, and it was 28-26. So when it comes to playoff time, you got to be ready. I mean, I think Coach Holmes was telling me at practice last week. He was telling the kids that he said, they're in the playoffs for a reason. So, I mean, don't look at the 1s versus 4. They can come out and bite you. So let's stay with that. Anything else that you come across with that game that you broke down that you kind of liked and want to kind of continue?
Well, I think both sides of the ball. I think we're playing pretty well right now. We're playing with a lot of confidence. I think offensively, I think Coach Pushki's doing a great job of mixing in different personnels and getting. It's all very organized. I'm thinking he's probably having his best year as a coordinator, just with all he's juggling there. People don't realize how hard it is to get in and out of different personnels and make sure you have the right play call, and he's done a great job of that. And defensively, I just feel like new defense, and we're in the 12th week, the 12th game, and I feel like we really kind of hit our stride defensively and are kind of starting to figure it out. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at, but we've got a big one this week.
Well, you talk about peaking too early is a phrase that's used, if you really get a good start, and coaches kind of worry about that because, how much better can you get to improve on that, and then all of a sudden you see a lull. That wasn't really with us. It was trying to find our identity, getting through, and then getting through the district, and then even after the Newcastle game to come back and then have such a great thing at Bishop McGuinness. Do you think that we're hitting kind of our stride right now to kind of play our best ball heading into this playoff run?
Yeah, I definitely think that, the McGuinness game was the best game we've had all year. Not that we didn't play well last week. It was just that, we were facing a much tougher opponent in McGuinness. So, I think we're playing our best football right now. I think we're the most confident that we've been in a while, maybe even a few years. And I'm just really excited for these next couple weeks. Hope that we can take care of business.
Going back to Coach Pushki about all the formations, and he was kind of telling me just in one grouping of how many there were. Do you know off the top of your head how many? I know how many plays you've got per se, but there's so many different looks based on those plays. And you said juggling those combinations. How many do you think there are out there?
Well, we've got about 4 different personnel groupings, so it's not like John Gruden's playbook or anything. But
you don't have those wild, crazy names, huh?
No. The key to us is we try to give the illusion of complicated, but keep it simple with our offensive line, and we rarely We rarely mess with the offensive line. What they've been running from day one is what they're running right now.
Okay.
And, we can dress it up and do different things with different personnel groupings. But keeping it simple with the offensive line is the key.
Well, that's always the key right there. You mentioned John Gruden, and if you want some good entertainment, go see what, when he's getting upset with quarterbacks that can't relay that 6-name play,
right.
and he's got it right off, and I'm thinking, wow, But it's funny stuff. Coach, we're going to break down a couple of plays that you've kind of reserved for an offense and defensive look for us. We'll kind of break down those two, and then we'll bring you back at the end to really talk about the Del City matchup, because that is something that we're all looking forward to, at least from a fan standpoint. So we'll go with the first clip here, and you'll have to be able to tell us what this is, since we have two of them there.
Well, speaking of personnel groupings, this is a new personnel grouping we put in last week with both Connor and Jaja in the backfield.
Do you call it the pistol? That's what I've always
No, we just call it backs.
Backs.
We got both but we're pretty complicated with what.
Okay, I got you.
And it's just a buck sweep. It's a play where we pull both guards, and it's a play that we kind of dabbled with a little bit early in the season. I think we ran it against Lawton High, and we might have put it in for another game, but it's been really good to us the last few weeks. Starting, we put it back in for Newcastle, and have kind of kept it in since then. It's kind of turning into one of our base plays. So you can see right here, Walter Rhodes and Gage Jones, the two guards, will pull to the left, and we hand it to Connor. And then we've got Avon and Jaja faking the option backside, which gives a little gives a little misdirection. But, Connor does a great job getting behind those blockers. One
of his 4 that he takes to the house there. So I was going to say, too, as a fan watching, I could foresee in my mind there's a lot of things you can do with that play. I mean, because you have 3 threats in there. If you've got 2 running backs and a quarterback that can run it, or even throw it out of this, there's a lot of different things you could play with.
Yeah, because let's not forget we've got Josh over there on the outside.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, so someone that you could throw to. Hey, something else to make defensive coordinators insane. All right, So here is I think this is probably a defensive set here for us.
It is, and this is a really good play by Princeton Salazar, our freshman defensive end. He gets a strip and a recovery. He comes in. Looks like we have a slant to the weak side, so to the left side. And he does a great job staying low, knifing through there, and not only tackling the ball carrier, but, tackling him low enough around his waist area where he can get a hand on the ball, and got it out and recovered it. So,
well, talk a little bit about this. I know that, year to year you'll hear, and Altus had one with their quarterback, a great, outstanding freshmen that are ready to play. What do you attribute that to? I mean, that, you have 2 of them in your lineup. You brought up a couple more, and you told me in the beginning of the season when they were starting to play, boy, this is really a good freshman group. And you say, okay, that's nice. Maybe we'll see them in the future. But to get them out there on varsity reps, that's a little different. Do you contribute anything about why they're so ready this quick?
Not really. I think that, we've had freshmen play before. Josh and Adam both started the last few games of their freshman year. But these guys, have been playing since day one, and I've never had that before. I've never had one freshman be a day one starter, and this year I had 2. And then, with Kibble coming in when Gunner was a little banged up, did an outstanding job, and all 3 of those guys have bright futures. And that whole class is really good. We're really excited about them.
Yeah, not that we want to fast forward 4 years from now after they've got all that experience, but it is nice to have that. You always look to the future and to bring some of them up. But it was just kind of interesting that I remember coaches would say, oh, you don't ever start a freshman, not only immaturity and they don't have the experience, and, they're going up against kids that are driving. They have to be driven to practice, what I mean? So hats off to, a great effort for these kids and looking for more.
And speaking of that, that's something that through the years, we might have had people that were athletic enough to play, physically, but they didn't have everything else that it took, because when you go from middle school to high school, there's a lot more involved. There's a lot more film work. There's a lot more, the practices are extremely elevated from what they were used to. And the practice habits have to really level up. So those guys have done a great job of adjusting to that and buying into that.
Coach Brett Manning, Macarthur Highlanders, week number 2 coming up with quarterfinals. Very special to be in that position because out of 32 teams, you're down to the last 8. And anything about these final 8, the one thing I'm going to say that, not has been mentioned, and I'm going to mention it for us on the west side, nothing against the other districts, but this year has been talked about Carl Albert, and of course Carl Albert is Carl Albert, and they're looking to make their 20th, which would be the most, state titles for a school. They've tied with Ada last year, and that's their mission. So that's been talked about. And then Guthrie has been solid and almost beating Carl Albert. So that was big news headline. And then Altus, the way they did. And then you come to find those 3 that were mentioned, 2 of them exit because the ones that weren't being talked about, Bishop, McGinnis, Newcastle, and Macarthur, all of a sudden those 3 are left standing. And we've seen it before where that district really took care of our district. Right. What does that say about our district and some of what we've seen this year?
I think it says a lot about our district. It's tough. We've been saying that, all year, and I think it, forever. I mean, ever since I've been the head coach, and probably a lot of years before that too, the west side has really dominated 5A. We've got really, really good football on the west side in 5A, and the east side, they have a few good teams. I'm not taking that away from it, but from top to bottom, the west is really tough. So. We probably got the toughest east side team, coming to town. They're not really east. They're in Oklahoma City area. But
in fact, I was technically geographically, Carl Albert is further east than they are. But, if you're keeping score. But they chose to go in that east district, so that's where they, kind of kept them away from things. We'll talk a little bit more about Del City here in a minute. We got players to talk to, got coordinators to talk to. Come on down Southwest Oklahoma Brewery as we'll continue with our coaches show right here on the Oklahoma Sports Network. All right, Southwest Oklahoma Brewery, and we are at the Coaches Show and Macarthur Coaches Show. Week number 2, we're talking quarterfinals, and we got players with us, Coach, and talk about the senior class. But let's talk about, on the back end to have someone such as Q that can really take care of stuff, and we'll talk about some of his statistics of what he's done, but talk a little bit about him and what we always talk about the offense, always talking about those guys, but we don't really want to talk about, Bishop McGinnis showed what that defense is all about.
Yeah, and, what everybody knows about Q is true. He's fast. But what people don't see is he has done a great job of putting in the work to become a good defensive back. That just doesn't happen because you're fast. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of, buying into what Coach Neal is teaching him, and he's done a great job technically of getting himself to be a really good defensive back.
There was another Q we had earlier on that had some folklore that had the little nickname of that. So, it was kind of bringing back some of those memories that was a difference maker. So, Quentin, talk a little bit about this year. How has this year been? I know it's fast, but have you been able to take it all in of all the successes that you guys have had?
Yes, sir. It's been pretty good. We've had a lot of success on both sides of the ball. I'm happy we won our own last playoff game. So
let me see. I think it's not you. It's this. Try that. Go ahead.
So I'm looking forward to this week and what else we can do while the season keeps going.
Okay, so you had to clarify with it because I knew. I don't really want to, as a broadcaster, you don't want to say something that you know that you'll regret by being wrong, okay? So, names are the biggest thing that I always worry about. But I knew that you had a couple of kick returns, and I knew that there was 2, but I thought it was more than 2.
Yes, sir.
So how many total?
4.
And Coach just told me now 3 in a row.
Yep.
And why do you think that teams are still kicking to you now that it's all out? It's not that they haven't seen it on film. Maybe they just don't plan on it. They just don't expect it. But I mean, you're a weapon to really be shown. I don't know what the record is. What is the record? You know what the school record for? We'll have to go back and look how many kick returns in a year we've had.
And I've got that book, that Mike Moore.
Yeah, Mike Moore did.
Years,
We'll have to dig that out and pull that out a little bit. But what has been the most exciting thing for you in this season?
Honestly, just playing this year, playing with my brothers for my last year. It has been fun being able to go out and play every Friday night. It just means a lot.
What was your best game as a highlight of a feeling of a team? I'll talk about personal in a minute, but your favorite win as a team this year?
Bishop McGinnis for sure.
Yeah, I think it's hands down. It's almost like, why do I even ask that?
Right.
Okay, it can be a repeat, but since you've had so much success in other games, what was your favorite game that you thought you did the very best coming off the field?
Probably Duncan or Bishop McGinnis out of those two games.
Okay. And then also, let me ask you this. What is your favorite kick return this year of those four, and why?
For sure, Bishop McGinnis. Yeah, for sure, Bishop McGinnis.
Well, the Eisenhower one was nice because it's right out of the gate, and you were like a rocket, and I'm thinking, okay, but yeah. So I just had to ask. You have a four. There's a favorite. Do you really think that Macarthur now, I know you had a statement before the season started about get back, have it out there. You guys really, as I talked to, the guys last week, they just said they were tired of losing, tired of, getting third or fourth in the district and then going on the road and getting a loss. And that wasn't Macarthur football. There was a time probably when you were much younger that the statement would be if Macarthur didn't make the semifinals every year, it was a disappointment because the expectations were there. So you think that we've really arrived to that get-back moment, and how are you guys going to seize the moment this week against Dill City?
Yes, sir. I feel like we have got back for sure, but the job's not done yet. I feel like our team is really good this year. We have a big chance to go to the state championship and win. So.
All right, what have you seen on Dill City on film that you got to really prepare for on the back end? They got some athletes. They're going to try to run the ball a little bit. So and they'll throw. They're going to try to get in space and get the ball to their athletes. So what are you going to have to do for Friday?
Just make sure I know my assignment, know my job, and just execute at the end of the day.
All right, Quentin Mask for the Macarthur Highlanders. We'll have more with coordinators and players as we continue at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. We'll be back right after this on the Oklahoma Sports Network. All right, Southwest Oklahoma Brewery. We've got some more players in the house, some coaches to talk about this week's matchup. And first and foremost, Coach, let's just get a review from you of what you are most pleased with the effort. Of course, score is a good indicator that you're pleased, but, you're still wanting to find things. I've heard from coaches that it's not how you do in the regular season. That's in the past. Who can improve week to week from here on out? If you're going to go 4 weeks, it's a state championship run. So what do you think that you could still gain of how we can tweak or get better at some of the stuff we need to do?
Just little things on the offensive line and our tight ends blocking. Just every day we're just trying to get better at our technique and coming off the ball strong. And you really see that on Friday nights. I mean, we work hard every day of the week, and our run game, it shows how good those guys up front do.
Well, I know it's easy for a coach to be able to go, okay, this is the stable of running backs that I've got, and we've not really had to see Prince much as of late. He used to be used like at a goal line package, as like on the 1 yard line, and these other two have just been doing an outstanding job. Nothing, and he'll have his turn, by the way. And you got the Train, who's a senior, so you want to be able to sure you get him and get him involved with it. But that you've got to be pleased with. And I like the formation now where you're adding the mix of. And me being a Lions fan, there has been some talk of why they've not had the two with Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery out on the field at the same time, because that opens up to a lot of things. So when you brought that in Friday, I was excited to see, because I know you were patiently to say, okay, this guy's going to get his series, he's going to get a rest, but to have them both out there, I mean, it's time to go. I mean, no more resting, right?
Yeah, and it gives the defense another look, gives them some, eye candy one way, and
sure,
and they got to respect it because they both can go, and they both work hard and do a great job each week. So just having both of them on the field gives the defenses a lot of trouble, a lot of, are they going to go this way with Connor? Are they going to go this way with Jaja? So
and I was excited too that out of that, whether I call it the pistol or what you want to call it, the backs that you have in your formation. You have so many things. You can hand off this way. Oh, by the way, your quarterback can run with it, or your quarterback can throw out of it. So take your guess, of the 4 or 5 different options you can use off that.
Yeah, that's why we've been really successful offensively. I don't know what we're averaging, but it's probably close to 40 or something a game.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of pick your poison. You want to try to load the box and stop the run. We got Josh and Adam and Kenyon and guys out there to throw it to, or play coverage, and Jaja and Connor are going to have a field day. Well,
I asked Coach a little bit about this just earlier, but do you think that we're at the point where you're playing your best ball right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think throughout the year we've had some new guys come on the line this year. We had to replace some guys, and just that cohesiveness of gaining throughout the year, they've just gotten better and better. And I felt like you could see glimpses during that Newcastle game of how good we could be, and I think that next week the kids saw it, and just the McGinnis game, we kind of put it all together, and then after that game of them seeing what they can do, and, they just gained a lot of confidence. And so this last week, and Noble, we were a little bit better than Noble, and but just the confidence and the level that they're playing at, and the sky's the limit.
I think that's an important part that you bring up, is that some teams kind of figure it out early, and when you kind of use that verbiage that I kind of just saw just as as an observation, is that Newcastle, you weren't quite ready for that, and then when you say after they saw that success and after they built on it, and you had some drama with that, you had 2 of your starters go down, and one was able to come back limited, and the other one not, and the next man up, and then you had Gabriel was making some catches and some other stuff, but for everybody else to not only see what they could do, to gain the confidence to bring them into Bishop McGinnis, that's kind of late in the season, week 8. Usually you kind of say, okay, after you get your first 2 district games in there, you should, but I guess better late than never.
Yeah, I had a coach always say cream rises to the top, and at the end, and you want to be playing your best ball in November, and so I think we are, and so should be a good one with Del City. I think we're ready. I think we match up well with them. They got some talented, skilled guys, and we do too. So it'll be the battle of the trenches, and see how it comes out.
Yep, skill on skill, and let's go to it. Okay, Josiah, why don't you pick up the microphone and. We're in number 0 now. Was there any particular reason why you picked that number?
No, sir. It was just the only good number.
It was the only good number.
Only good number.
Okay. What are good numbers to you?
Like a single digit.
Single digit.
Like double digits.
Well, would you like number 1? Q's got 1.
One.
You almost kind of have to fight over that then. Everybody wants 1, right? But very seldom does anybody pick 0, though. You're very unique. You're in a different category, because I guess there's always been a negative connotation with that. Well, I don't want to be known as a 0. I'm not. So I always wondered if there was anything certain about that with using that number or not. How has this senior season been for you?
It's been good. It's just been good. Been proud that we made it this far.
Yeah, I mean, you guys haven't seen that success, in a while, and the Get Back slogan. But Coach said last time you won a first playoff game was in 21. So it's been a little bit. We've been absent from it, and you guys bought into it early about this concept. And what have you seen on Del City defensively that, you as a running back are going to have to be aware of and key up on?
Really just their speed. They were athletic, and I feel like they play physical too. So just try to avoid them, really.
It's been kind of a common theme. Your favorite game this year is a moment of a team that you really reflect on that you'll never forget?
Probably beating Bishop McGuinness.
Okay, I know it's kind of a common thing. I wouldn't take that away from you. Okay, what about personally, the best game that you had, either yards-wise or hard work or whatever you came off the field and you thought you did your very best?
I forgot the game. I think I had like 3 touchdowns.
For which one?
Like I had 3 touchdowns one game this year, but I don't remember what game it was. I think it was.
I think it was like week 6 or 7. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Midwest. I think it was Midwest City. I think so. Midwest City.
Okay, that'll be good. What's this season meant to you? How would you describe this season? How it's been, how it's gone? If you had to put it into words, how would you describe this year's team and this year's season?
Hard working.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we worked pretty hard all week.
Okay. Got one right down there. We got a little bit of O-line stuff, so give us your name, grade, and what position you play.
My name is Jordan Crane.
Yep.
Number 58, and I'm a senior.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, you're a little you're over me when we stood up there, and I said, from a vantage point in a press box, you don't really get size-wise until you stand next to someone like that. I remember, this is a lineman thing, I was covering some stuff on the Sooners, and I think the largest man I ever stood next to was Phil Lodeholt. And, I mean, not only was he tall, he's big, his wingspan was huge, How does that height give you as an advantage for what you do?
I mean, it's like having that long wingspan does really help.
Let me see that mic again. We got a little kink in our microphone, but go ahead. There you go.
I feel like having that long wingspan really does help.
Yeah, it's okay.
Help somebody.
Yep.
Like getting smaller people out the way and stuff.
Yeah. How many? What's the best pancake game you had?
Probably Midwest City.
Really? How many did you have that game?
I had like 3.
And what was the best game you graded out with?
Noble. I got 100.
You got 100. All right, man. You can't beat that, huh? How special was it to have a 50-0 in a playoff game? That's kind of strange, but to have that much success in a half.
I'm not really used to it, so it was like it was really just like an uplifting moment for like just the team and see how far we made it through the season.
Yeah. Okay, you've got a big test with Del City. We talked about their physicality, talk about their athleticism. What have you seen on them, that they're going to bring on defense that you're going to have to stop to make sure our offense gets all the best opportunities?
I feel like they have pretty good hands and like just getting hands on first and keeping them there because we could just move them out the way.
All right. Well, we'll continue on. Southwest Oklahoma Brewery, it's our coaches show here in the second week of the playoffs. We're in the final 8. It's the quarterfinals, and we'll continue with the coaches show here at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery, 104 Southwest 2nd Street, right after this on the Oklahoma Sports Network. Well, at the conclusion of this coaches show, we're going to leave with the highlight video that I've got that's going to be featured. First time debuted, it's going to be the Macarthur Del City matchup highlight film. And, boy, we've got some great highlights because both of these teams, collision course of greatness. When you get to the final 8, you get to this point. Coach Holmes, no stranger to playoffs and how that looks. How is this team and how are they ready defensively?
Well, I feel like that we've really come together defensively the last few weeks. I think that we started out the year in a new system, and I feel like that everybody has got comfortable with it and have really started to play instead of think all the time.
Well, we know about our offense, and throughout the years, the legacy of a lot of great athletes that have come on that side of the ball. But I can't remember, and maybe you can, a better defensive game than when we saw at Bishop McGuinness with the sacks, the containing the quarterback, the turnovers, getting back either in fumbles. Or do you recall a better defensive game since you've been at Macarthur?
Well, I don't know if I recall a better game, but I recall several games that have been as good, where we just had 11 people sell out and play like we did against McGinnis. It's been a few years since we've seen that, but I was really excited for the kids, the way that they responded to that challenge.
And, I love that, the pursuit, the hat on the hat, getting our defense involved. They got a big task this week, just because of not only the name that they've had, of what they represent. What have you seen from Del City, and what are you going to have to do to get a stop on them on Friday?
Well, Del City's got some good athletes, which isn't surprising. We're going to have to tackle well and do our assignment. Every player has an assignment on every play, and most of the time when you get in trouble defensively is when one guy doesn't get his job done and they happen to have the right play called. So we're going to have to be in the right spots that we're supposed to be in, and we're going to have to tackle well and run to the football.
Well, maybe MacArthur's been a little battle-tested when you look at the results of the Week 1 playoff scenarios where you had, Newcastle goes and beats Altus, so they move on. Bishop McGinnis goes to Guthrie, being a 3 seed, beats a 2 on the road, and we're still left standing. So we played those two. Does this prepare us for a game like Del City for sure?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think that, and I know that Coach Manning has been saying this, I think that Newcastle and McGinnis and us are all pretty equal. I think we're all pretty good teams on both sides of the ball, and I think that playing each other in the district has given us an opportunity to be baptized in the fire.
I talked to this about the running backs coach just about earlier about anything that you think that we could improve on, after, it's really kind of hard to, gauge last week's game, but, still this latter part of the season that you could still think that we could get just a little bit better at. What would it be?
Just the things that I've mentioned. We just got to get better at running our package. We got to get better at tackling. We got to keep continuing to run to the ball. And those three things are going to bail us out of a lot of tough situations.
Great pursuit. Yeah, okay. Got a couple of players with us. Grab the mic, give us your name, grade, and what position you play.
My name is Darian Mosley. I play corner. I'm a senior.
Yep, so you're having to come up on those edges. What have you seen on Del City that you're going to have to really prepare for them on Friday?
Definitely them taking shots down the field.
Yeah.
Defending my matchup.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they know what their game plan is. Get the ball to their playmakers, and especially they're going to try to pick on a side, and you're on one of those sides, so you're going to probably have to try to shut down your guys so they're not, using that as much, huh?
Yes, sir.
What would you see as your proudest moment of this year as a team?
Definitely McGinnis.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What about your own personal best? What would you think was your best game?
Probably McGinnis.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
It's good. You guys were flying all over the place there. Okay. You got a guy next to you. Give us your name, grade, and what position you play.
My name is Kazaria Mayberry. I'm a senior, and I'm a D tackle.
Now, I did not know, accidentally, we have these nicknames, okay? We have nicknames, like Waterbug, which, Tony started off early, and we got the Train. When we say Mayberry, I just started saying RFD. I did not know until I found you on X that you do have the RFD in there. So what is the connection of you using that? I know what it means, but what does it mean to you?
Basically that. When I was younger, my aunt used to watch it a lot with me, so
all right.
That's where I really got it from.
Well, our Ashley Owensby, Ashley is our producer. He's a senior. And we were asking about RFD. He didn't know what RFD meant,
Yes, sir.
Then after commercial break, we had to say, he said, when they named it something else, with the sheriff, what's his name? Sheriff Taylor.
Yeah.
And it was Andy Taylor, Andy Griffith. So he said he knew it from that. So that's kind of stuck with you from early on.
I say so, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I like it. I've used it. I didn't even know. I accidentally fell into that little nickname there when we got connected. How has this season been for you?
It's been pretty good. It's basically like my breakout year for sure. Like I'm able to show what I've been doing and putting it out and showing people.
What was your biggest challenge this year to overcome of some of the things that you wanted to get better at?
I guess for me, learning a new position. At first I was an outside linebacker, so taking a change from that to getting a hand in the dirt was a little different. So trying to compete with people bigger than me and still make plays is really what I've been focusing on.
Okay, so you're going to have that matchup again this week, either people bigger than you or trying to get faster than you with Del City. What have you seen on film from them, and what do you have to do prepare to get ready for Friday?
Replicate what we did on Bishop McGinnis, honestly. Being fast off the ball, keeping our tempo, not really letting whatever happens on the outside fade what's going on in the game.
All right, so Mr. Mayberry, RFD, we appreciate that. Appreciate you, Mr. Mosley. And, of course, Leo Holmes, co-defensive coordinator for the Macarthur Highlanders. We still have Coach's final comments. We've got our debut video and so much more, so don't you go away. We're still at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery for our Coach's Show, Macarthur style, right here on the Oklahoma Sports Network. All right, back here at Southwest Oklahoma Brewery at 104 Southwest 2nd Street. We want you to come join us, whether you can be for lunch or dinner. Great barbecue. What did you get tonight?
I had the chicken salad sandwich.
Did you?
It was pretty good.
That's the one thing I've two things that I've not had, and they were out of it the one time I wanted to have it. And that's good, So it's I've had even the loaded baked potato, which is good, but their barbecue is pretty good. Yeah. And she said their 2 meat plates are hard to beat, whether they're brisket or pulled pork in second. And my sausage is still down on the not as popular list, and I said that's my go-to, that's my favorite. Yeah. Pretzel's pretty big too. So, Coach, had a great time talking with players, defensive coordinator, offensive running backs coach. I was so glad that we've got a full house here, too, the Macarthur representation, which, the fan base has always been supportive, and we love to see that. So I want to thank you guys for getting out the word and being supportive of us and this, as we go on. It's very nice to be in this position, I got to say, because if it was 21 since the last time we won a playoff game, it's been a little bit, and it's been – these last couple of years were kind of okay. Take the bus trip to Guthrie and then call it a year. And I just didn't want to see that repeated, and we didn't. Yeah. We came district champions. Put yourself in a very good position. Del City, your opponent on the other side, won the district last year, so they were kind of on that opposite end of things for the bracket. But they finished in second. They lost to Pryor, and we got 2 great matchups on the network that is kind of familiarity and then rematch. We'll start with Newcastle and Pryor. That was the game last year. Mm-hmm. Newcastle had to come from behind to win that. They're having to take the long bus ride to Pryor. What do you think about that matchup?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I think they're both really good teams. We've got to watch Pryor a little bit, just their film with Del City. And, we know Newcastle's really good, so it's going to be an interesting night. Just like last week, it was interesting to see, how Guthrie and McGinnis would do and how Newcastle and Altus would do. So, it'll be fun. Well,
I know that I've had it on a digital format, but Tom Bell gave me the paper format of, the rundowns of this. And when you look at the Coweta-Claremore, that game, 28-26, it was a 1 versus a 4. The 4 comes out victorious. And what does it boil down to? Special teams, a block punt, mixed extra point. For a coach, that's got to drive you nuts, right?
Yeah, but Claremore has – they've had a good playoff run these last few years.
Yes.
If you remember a couple of years, they beat Elgin.
The Zebras came, yeah.
So they've had. I think they're coached really well. I think they do a really good job in the playoffs.
Well, we talked prior Newcastle, Carl Albert, McAllister. I really don't know too much about. They got the coaching change. Mm-hmm. Blanchard coach comes down there. They had kind of movement from players and stuff like that. And because they're kind of really not they're southeast Oklahoma for us. It's a little bit of ways. Yeah. I don't really know much about them and what they're going to bring for Carl Albert.
Well, I know Jeff Craig really well.
Okay.
And he does a good job. And it wasn't any surprise, that he eventually got them going.
Well, and the last outside of the one we're going to talk about with us is Claremore and McGinnis. They'll play that.
Yeah, and don't really know a whole lot about Claremore other than the fact that they've had some good playoff wins here in the last few years. But I know McGinnis is a really good team too. So, and that everybody is. It's the second round of the playoffs. Everybody's good.
Yeah, because, the first round everybody's excited because ones play fours, and that's what we had. But now a lot of ones and twos are playing because twos normally will beat the threes unless there's an upset there. So you got ones and twos to kind of settle it out. Only the final 8 after this week, and we've talked about this. If you're playing and practicing Thanksgiving week, you've done things well, and that's a special time of the year.
Yeah, it's a fun time of year. Seems like a lot of former players are back, for the holidays and come up and watch practice. It's a lot of fun to get to see those old guys.
Well, hopefully we can continue that. It takes a win over Del City. It's at home at the Hill again for the 4th time this year. Man, I say 3rd time's a charm. Let's get for the 4th time. What have you seen on Del City that you broke down, and what are you guys really preparing for Friday?
Well, Del City's athletic, like they always are. They were in our district for 6 years in a row. It's been a while, but they're always extremely athletic. They've had some really good talent go through there, and they're talented this year. They've got a lot of fast guys, a lot of good athletes. So we're going to have to do a good job of both sides of the ball, lining up properly and doing our assignment, and we're going to have to do a good job of coaches of putting our guys in a place where they have a chance for success.
And no starts like we had last week, where the first drive was all self-inflicted, right?
Yeah, and that seems to kind of be our deal. We've had a few people, do good things against us and get some stops against us, but I feel like the majority of the time when we don't go down the field and score, it seems like they're self-induced mistakes.
Anything of changing the philosophy, which I like, I love it, is the coin toss and you decide to take the ball. I know sometimes you don't get to choose, and then that's how they choose it for you. But do you like that? If you had the opportunity because of how this offense runs, would you prefer, and what's the philosophy behind that, deferring to the second half? Because I know you want to get the ball to start the second half, but why not get a fresh start, quick start in the first?
Yeah, I've done it both ways. I just
don't have a favorite.
I don't really. I think we deferred against Elgin early in the year,
right?
And I don't know. Ever since then, we've just been taking the ball. Yeah. So I don't.
I loved it. I said, let's take the ball. Let's show us who we're all about.
There's not as much thought behind it as you might think.
Well, now you take the specialness out of it. I thought it was really some special thing we can dig into. Well, Coach, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Again, let's pack the stands. From the administration point of view, you probably got a review after that playoff game, because there was a lot of eyeballs on. There's a lot of questions that were sent my way. Hey, is Macarthur going to be able to handle this, and where are they going to seat everybody? And we were reminded that some of the visiting stands that we've gone to is no much bigger than what we've been sitting at here for them. So
yeah, that's the truth. Our visiting stands are bigger than probably the majority of the places we have to go. So
that's really not the thing. So were everybody pleased? Everybody. I love it. And we're going to have it there again. So you knew if there was a problem, they'd say, no, we got to send it back to Cameron. But
and we know that there's issues, that we have and that we'll have to work through. There's still some construction stuff, some fencing stuff that needs to get done. But no stadium's perfect. Everywhere you go, there's going to be an issue, one way or the other.
It's not an advisory and it's not a complaint, but Larry Hatch and I will tell you that they ran out of water at halftime. So whoever's in charge of buying water, please buy more water.
He's sitting back there.
I said, I was talking about how they ran out of water. I said, and then they had Gatorade, and the only thing they had was, what color was it? Green? I think it was. And they ran out of the green, too. So, hey, for the Booster Club or whoever's in charge of that, I know you don't want to overbuy with stuff, because then what are you going to do with it? But I'm saying let's make sure we load up.
I'm staying out of it. I've got my own stuff to take care of.
I understand. It was just for a little comic relief because Larry Hatch and I were talking about we send one of the young men down to the concession stand. It's okay. What do you want? A water and a Gatorade? Come back. He says, out of water, out of Gatorade. He said, but they got a big bag of popcorn. I said, well, that doesn't really do me good.
Well, that's a good thing, though. That means we're selling a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you are. That's right. Okay, well, that's kind of in the books. I'm going to leave it. I know the people in here can't hear the sound because we got a good soundtrack to this. They'll get to hear it now, but I've got a highlight video to match between Del City and Macarthur that we put together. But we want to appreciate the players, the coaches, all for this. We want to thank Southwest Oklahoma Brewery for putting up with us again since August, and they were still rolling on, and hopefully invite you back next Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, that's the goal. All right, Southwest Oklahoma Brewery is where we are at. I'm going to leave you with the Macarthur Del City hype video. You've been watching a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Are you ready to see somebody's need for speed? I can put our wings in the wind faster than you can ever believe. Are you ready to rock? Fun they don't ever stop. We are on a crash course and freedom is running on as long as we want. Try fast, let go. Hands up, wind blow. Soundtrack, stone cold. Sit back and turn it up, yeah, here we go. Calling all my friends, my neighbors. Revving up the engine. We ain't got the numbers, so we'll warn our skies.
Flag on the play.
Oh, I can hear the birds waking early to saying that it's never too soon. So are you ready to rock? Well, it don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom and we can go as long as we want.